All right, welcome everybody to round two of our Cassiopeia Intro to Programming Student Orientation. Thank you for bearing with us with the technical issues we had Wednesday. I'm glad you all were able to join us tonight. So we are going to go ahead and dive right in. We are going to skip our meet each other, as I had mentioned just a moment ago, but I'll go over information about our organization. In the meantime, though, if you do want to share your information, a lot of you have already done it, but feel free to pop up your name, pronouns, location, if you have any coding experience or how you heard about us, hobbies, interests, anything like that. Feel free to share that in the chat so we can all get to know each other a little bit while we're getting orientated to class. All right. So as I had mentioned on Wednesday, I'll just cover this real quick again for anybody that's joining us tonight that wasn't able to make it Wednesday. So Code the Dream, we're a nonprofit organization based out of North Carolina and the United States. Our mission statement is to create opportunities that change lives, build technology that benefit our communities, and support diversity that drives a more just and innovative world. So we create opportunities for you all, our students, by providing these free classes. We're supported through grants and through income revenue that we get from our development shop side to be able to offer these classes for free. We always strive in having a very diverse population for our student classes because we feel that the tech industry is kind of all one color for the most part. And we want to see a brighter rainbow across the tech industry. And so we'd like to see more diversity in general with all of the folks who are building all of the tech that everybody uses on a day-to-day basis. So that's a very big, important part of our mission statement. We also strive on building tech that benefits our community. If you're curious about what our dev shop side is building, then you can go to codethedream.org/portfolio, and that'll show you some of the projects that we've built. But all of the projects we take on are either for underrepresented individuals that are entrepreneurs and doing startups. We work with government agencies or social justice organizations, nonprofit agencies, things like that, to be able to build tech that both helps our communities and is just very diverse and supportive tech. So we've done things with like victims of domestic violence. We've done things with migrant farm worker populations, elderly, all kinds of things. We really have some pretty cool stuff that we've built to help all populations. So the way we carry out our mission statement is by having the school, which provides the free online intensive classes in web development. And then we have the lab side, which is the real world experience that graduates of our program and occasionally outside applicants into the apprenticeship program can then work on real world projects and get that experience to help get their foot in the door with entry level positions. The apprenticeship part, which I'll talk about a little bit briefly, a little bit down the road here as we go through our orientation, is a paid apprenticeship. It's a small stipend that gets paid, and it would be applicable for students who have completed an advanced course with us. So you'll need to complete your intro and then take an advanced course before you're applicable for the apprenticeship. It is only available currently to people who are living within the United States territories or United States. It doesn't matter what your immigration status is or what your residency status is, though. You just have to be living on US soil to be applicable for the apprenticeship. And that kind of covers our general information about our organization. If you have questions about our organization, feel free to either check out the website codethedream.org to find out more about us, or you can pop up questions in the chat or unmute and ask too if you have any questions. All right, so let's talk about the school side and the general class path. So you all are starting out with our 16-week Intro to Programming class, which is going to build your foundational skills. In this class, you'll be learning JavaScript, HTML, CSS, AJAX, and API Fetch. And if all of those sound daunting or intimidating or unfamiliar to you, that's a-okay, because we teach all of it throughout the course of the 16 weeks. So if you don't know it now, by the end of 4 months, you'll know it. So it's okay. All of those are foundational skills that really help as you get to more advanced technologies that are used to build web applications and websites. So the advanced classes dig deeper into more complex tech and some useful and popular frameworks such as React, Ruby on Rails, and Node.js. Node.js is a full stack advanced class that builds a backend where all of your data is, and then you use Express with Node.js. You can use other things too, but in our class we teach Express to use with Node.js to be able to build a front end, what the person sees when they use your app or visit your site. The React class is a front end class, so that's just dealing with building what the user interacts with, so what the person sees when they visit the app or the site. And then the Ruby on Rails class teaches backend. So it's going to be data structures and how you keep track of who all your users are, what their email addresses are, and if you're working for a company that's selling something, keeping product lists and prices on those products and availability of them and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that gives you kind of a quick overview of the different classes and sort of what your trajectory is once you're done with intro, where you'll go from there. We offer professional and personal growth opportunities throughout the class, as well as if you become an apprentice at the end of your advanced class. We do mindset curriculum throughout your classes, which are just means of being able to think like a programmer. So things that get you thinking about how to problem solve, where to turn to look for solutions to problems that you run into as you're coding. We cover a little bit on like design concepts and accessibility and those sorts of things. So they're just sort of evergreen programmer skills that are helpful to know. And then we also have professional growth opportunities through skillets, which are usually held around lunchtime Eastern time on Fridays. And your class will be invited to them on occasion when it's a topic that is applicable to you, but generally the Friday lunchtime meeting is for the apprentices that work with our development job to be able to learn a little bit more about some new technologies that are coming out or things that are relevant to the projects that they're working on. So the CTD Labs apprenticeship, as I had mentioned earlier, is a stipend paid 1-year commitment, full-time work with our dev shop side after you complete an advanced class sufficiently. It's a small percentage of students that we wind up accepting into the apprenticeship program, and it just kind of depends on what our active development shop projects are. If we're bringing on new clients to start new projects, we might need more people than if we're fully staffed with apprentices currently and don't have anything new in our pipeline. So it just kind of depends. But by the time you complete an advanced class after your intro class, then you should be fairly job ready to be able to get into an entry level or junior developer position. Any questions or anything so far? I know I'm going through a whole lot of information really fast, so I just want to pause for a couple of seconds, and if you have questions, unmute and shout them out or put them up in the chat. Okay. All right, so we'll keep on going. All right, so the class path, we've already done the application part, and now you're in the intro class portion. After you complete intro, you'll move on to an advanced class as long as you complete your intro level class satisfactorily. All of our classes, whether it's intro or advanced, are made up of these 5 parts. So you've got your lesson materials or your instructional materials, your assignments. You have both coding and mindset assignments each week. Mentor sessions, which are an opportunity for you to be able to meet with a experienced developer and answer questions about what you've been learning and working on with the materials and the assignments. Community, we do have some community support in place since everybody's spread out, so it's ways to be able to connect with each other and connect with your mentors. And then the final project, at the end of the intro class, you'll have built a portfolio page that kind of showcases your work and pulls in any GitHub projects that you've built. And the final project will be how we determine if you're prepared to move on to the advanced classes. Melanie had asked if, what are the advanced classes needed for the apprenticeship? So you'll only need to take 1 advanced class after intro in order to be applicable for the apprenticeship. The advanced classes are 17 weeks long. You usually have a 1-week gap roughly at the end of that class. And then there's an 8-week period where you'll work on group projects called practicum. And it's just small groups of 3 to 5 students where you continue to work in the tech stack that you learned in your advanced class. And it gives you experience with how to work on a development team, because in pretty much every situation you're going to wind up working with others on the same code base, and you want to make sure that you know how to handle that dance fluidly and be able to each be working on parts of the code without breaking somebody else's part of the code as you're all working together on one project. Okay, so after the advanced class, you can either do the apprenticeship or a software development job. If you go the software development job route and you get hired into a good entry-level position and you want to pay it forward and help others follow in your footsteps, you can either donate your time by coming back as a mentor or an assignment reviewer or help in some way, shape, or form, either with the development shop side or with the classes side. Or if you have expendable income beyond what you need for day-to-day living and everything that goes with that, then feel free to kick a little bit back as a donation if you need or want to. We just like to cover that at the beginning so you know down the road if you wanted to give back how you're able to do that. Questions so far about the class path at all?
You can just jump into the software development job instead of taking the apprenticeship?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's not uncommon for a lot of our advanced class, especially the practica, students that complete practicum as well, to be able to go that route and jump into a software development job rather than applying for our apprenticeship. It's a little bit more fiscally responsible for yourself to go that route because most entry-level software developer positions will be able to pay more than our apprenticeship position can do. So even when you're about halfway through your advanced class, then it's a good time to start looking for jobs that you might be interested in applying to and updating your resume. Make sure that it says, you know, I'm going to be completing a class within whatever time frame, and even start doing interviews if you want to as you're finishing the last half of your advanced classes. Great
Uh,
question, Melanie.
do you have to be a U.S. citizen to apply for these jobs that you guys provide, or?
So it depends. There are a lot of remote jobs, and it just varies from company to company as far as how they handle it. A number of tech companies are international. So even if you aren't a US citizen, they may have a branch of their company that's located in a different sovereign that you can then apply for and legally be working for that branch of their company within. But it really just kind of depends on the company as far as how they're structured and whether or not they have any support systems in place to be able to help anybody that is like on visa status or needs any kind of like work authorization permits or anything like that. Some companies have that built into their structure where they want to be sure that they are being diverse and inclusive. And so they financially kind of help with that process, or they have legal aids on staff that help with that process. But it just really varies from company to company, unfortunately. We do have some resources that you'll all be able to see on our student resources page. I'll show that in a little bit, that can help you both with like updating your resume, updating LinkedIn profiles, give you information about what to expect with job interviews and technical interviews. And I think there might be some information in there too, as far as like how to look for a good job and that kind of a thing too. Great question. Did that help answer everything for you right now, Melanie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome. And then Christina had a question in chat I wanted to cover too. How many people apply for the apprenticeship and how many get accepted? So it really varies. The classes that we had end earlier this week, we've got about 18 to 20 people that were completing the advanced class and will be moving on to the practicum. Because of the projects that we have sort of in the fall that are planned to be started at that time with our development shop, then I think it's going to wind up being about like 4 to 6 roughly of those 18 to 20 students that'll be accepted on. But it also might vary because if we have some apprentices that are towards the end of their time, usually they stay with us about a year. So if we have some apprentices that are going to be moving on to other jobs at the end of their year apprenticing, then we may have some more spots available. It just kind of depends, and we have to wait and see until it gets closer to the end of an advanced class about how many seats we'll have open. Excellent questions, guys. Keep them coming. Okay, so class profile, I went over this on Wednesday, but just in case anybody's joining us tonight that wasn't with us on Wednesday, that number has increased. We had 3 or 4 of you that completed your student acceptance form in the meantime. So thank you for doing that. So our number is actually up a little bit, but as of Wednesday, we had 48 students accept the position. 55 seats were offered for your class. 77% of the 48 are people of color, 71% women or non-binary, 89% from low income backgrounds. Average age of those 48 students was 31, with our lowest age 18 and highest age 54 for students. And then 16 states within the US that are represented by you all, as well as 3 countries. So the reason I like to share this information is just to kind of give you an idea that there are a lot of commonalities and similarities that you'll have with your peers as far as some of your backgrounds and things like that, but also to show just how diverse of a group that we have as far as, you know, you're all across the US, you're in different countries, you're different age groups with different experiences. So, you know your strengths and share your strengths. Everybody's got a different perspective that is a valuable point of view to bring to the table. And so please use that and help and encourage and support each other. We're really about sort of this family environment at Code the Dream and making sure that we're inclusive and respectful and, you know, helping each other pull each other up to greater heights. So just keep that in mind as you're working with each other. Be patient because there are a lot of differences between you all. So be patient with yourselves, be patient with each other in case there's any kind of communication difficulties or anything. And just reach out and let us know if there's ever anything that you need. All right. Let's move on. So the 5 parts that I talked about that make up our class, the materials, assignments, sessions, community final project. This is just kind of a quick overview of what it is for your class. We use the Odin project, which is a text-based open source online learning material for your JavaScript, your HTML, your CSS. We also have some supplemental educational materials on request. So if you're working through Odin project and you're like, oh, this is really difficult, I'm having a challenge with this, then just let me know, let your mentors know, and that way we can get any kind of supplemental tutorials into your hands that might help make learning that concept for that week a little bit easier. It is going to be a challenge throughout the course because it is very intensive learning, but we also don't want you struggling. And if we can present information in a better, more learning friendly format for you, since everybody has different learning styles, then just talk to us and let us know, where your hang up is. And that way we can work through it together. For assignments, you'll have a coding assignment where you're actually writing code, and you'll have a mindset assignment, which is getting you to think like a programmer. And usually it's like a video or an article to read, a video to watch or article to read, and then some little journal type questions think about what they just talked about for, how to solve problems. Do you have a problem solving strategy yourself that you use? Those kind of things. For your sessions, so we have 2 styles of sessions. There's scheduled group sessions, where you can have multiple people on the call together. You'll have like 8 or 10 students within a call, and then it'll be led by a mentor. But the sessions will be predominantly just you all asking questions or talking about where you've run into issues, and the mentor kind of helping resolve and answer those questions. So it's a very flipped classroom model where you're going to be doing a lot of the learning, reading, studying on your own. And then to your mentor sessions, you'll bring any of those questions rather than having a sort of a lecture format where you have a mentor that's talking at you for an hour and a half or whatever. And then you have to absorb that information and then turn to your materials for additional information. So it's the reverse of that, where you'll go through your materials, bring your questions, and the mentor helps solve your questions and answer any, make things more clear for you. And then we also have by appointment, which is one-on-one. So we have some mentors that have sort of flexible schedules or varying schedules. So rather than having a set like Mondays at 7 p.m. kind of time frame when they meet with a group, then they'll have a link for you to be able to see all of the time increments that they're available throughout the week. And you can just see what time works for you, sign up for that one, and it'll just be you and the mentor to be able to meet and work through any questions that you have, issues that you're running into with your code, that kind of a thing. You can do either style. We usually encourage students to attend 2 sessions of either variety total throughout the week. So if you want to do 1 group session, 1 one-on-one, if you only want to do one-on-ones, if you want to do 2 group sessions, whatever works best for you as far as your learning style and whatever mentors you connect with that help you learn, that's perfect. We want you to do what's best for you. For community, I had mentioned Slack. Slack is a software program that you can download. They have an app for your phones and your mobile devices and your tablets. They also have a desktop app that you can download on your computers. And it's basically just like a chat communication center. So you get invited into the Code the Dream workspace. So the only people that are in that workspace are other students with Code the Dream, staff members, apprentices, that kind of a thing. And we'll put you on specific channels depending on what your role is within our organization. So the channels that you'll be on will be associated with your class. And we also have a general one that'll let you know if the organization is going to be closed for a holiday or things like that. And then we also have a channel that's an all student convo. So that way any students that are active students can communicate with each other. So if you're curious about, hey, what's the React class like? You can go to the all student convo and post a message and say, any students that are in the React class right now, what are you learning? Or, how much are you using JavaScript loops because they're driving me crazy this week, or whatever you want to talk about. And we also have Discord server available too. For you to be able to connect socially. So if y'all want to have a game night together or just want to chat about hobbies you have in common or anything like that, feel free to do that. You'll not have any class announcements or like curriculum specific or class specific related content shared on Discord. Discord's really just a social avenue for you to be able to connect with each other and not feel like you're just this island unto yourself learning on your own. We really wanted to be able to bring people together as much as possible. So we opened that Discord server for that. And then for your final projects, the portfolio site, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we continue on. Okay, so curriculum, I mentioned earlier that you're going to be learning JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Ajax, and API fetch. So JavaScript basics are going to be your first 5 weeks of class, and you're going to learn basics as far as like what is a variable, what types of variables there are, numbers, strings, Booleans, things like that. You'll do functions, loops, arrays, and objects. So all of those topics will be your first 5 weeks of your JavaScript basics. Some of it'll look familiar from that Khan Academy tutorial you did for your pre-work. So if you don't remember from the Khan Academy, that's okay. You're going to be learning it all from scratch through Odin Project, and it'll probably kind of click back in as you're starting to learn and work through it. The week 6 is when you start working with GitHub. So GitHub, as you might remember from that intro video that you did for the pre-work assignment, is a cloud-based storage place for you to be able to keep all of your files of code. So you keep files locally, and then you can copy them up to GitHub. So that way, if you're on a different machine or anything like that, then you can pull your records down to your new machine that you're working on. It's kind of a backup way to be able to save your work. And it's a convenient location to be able to share your work. When you're working on a development team, then usually there's one GitHub repo that's published, and that's the source code for whatever website or app you use. And then multiple people can link up to that particular repository of code and make changes and updates and bug fixes and anything else that they might need to do. Then you'll cover HTML for a few weeks. CSS, HTML is the structure of your site, so where your content is located on a page or an app. And then CSS is the styling, the fonts, the colors, the alignment of if you have text over here and a picture to the right, or vice versa, that kind of a thing. And then JavaScript and the DOM. So DOM is something that you'll dig into a little bit later in the class, but it's how your web browser is interpreting your HTML, your JavaScript, and your CSS. And you can use your JavaScript to manipulate your HTML and CSS through the browser. And it doesn't make sense right now, but I promise it'll make sense as you're working through it. And then Ajax and API fetch is methods of being able to get data sources and pull it into your user interface, into your site or into your app. So Ajax and API fetch is kind of like looking something up in a dictionary. You have a dictionary which is full of words and their definitions. Ajax and API fetch is a way to be able to find those collection of words or synonyms or whatever and display them somewhere, for example. I'm not explaining that very well, but I promise it'll make sense as you're working through things. Okay, questions about curriculum or anything else that we've talked about the past few minutes? Okay, all right, let's go ahead and do an overview of our tools. So the main tool that you'll be using is going to be the class website. You can go to learn.codethedream.org. I have not updated our navigation site to include Cassiopeia in the nav bar and the navigation bar on that website yet. But I will have it done this weekend, so that way you'll be able to just click on classes and select Cassiopeia from the list. Cassiopeia is your class name, by the way. I think I forgot to mention it at the beginning. So learn.codethedream.org, and then your class website, it gives you a calendar of when your week starts and stops. So it'll know when your week stops is your date due for your assignments. It'll also have links for your mentor sessions at the bottom of that page as well too. And we'll do a preview of all this so that way you can see. Yenny had asked if we'll be sharing the presentation. Yes, I am recording, so I will email this recording out to everybody, and I'll try and include the slides that I'm using as well too, so you can refer back to them if you don't want to watch the whole video. All right, and then learn.codethedream.org/student-resources is the other website that I had mentioned, that there is some information in there as far as job hunting and LinkedIn profiles and all of that kind of good stuff. It also just has helpful tools like JavaScript sort of glossary as far as different methods that you use or things like that, and GitHub cheat sheets and things like that. So lots of useful information at the student resources part of the learn.codethedream.org website. Your learning materials are going to be sourced from the odinproject.com. Specifically, they have a couple of different courses they offer at the Odin Project. Specifically, you'll look at the lessons in foundations, which are going to cover HTML, CSS, JavaScript, DOM work, that kind of a thing. We break it out in a different order than they do. A lot of boot camps and a lot of other classes will teach you HTML and CSS first, and then they teach you JavaScript after, but we do JavaScript first because we want you to have the full class period to be working with that and to kind of wrap your head around it and understand it. And JavaScript is sort of the logic that runs your code. So we want you to have as much time working with that logic and getting a good understanding with that. So we do it first. So even though you would go to the odinproject.com, the order they go in is different from the order we go in. You'll use your class website to be able to follow in the proper order for your course. But if you need to refer back to it at any point, you can go to odinproject.com/lessons/foundations to be able to take a look at any of the week's material that you cover throughout class. So your assignments, the first 5 weeks are going to be through something similar to Code Sandbox. So Code Sandbox was what you used for your pre-work assignment. Replit is kind of similar to Code Sandbox as far as you've got your a panel in the middle where you've got your code that you write. You have a panel on the side where you can check to see how your code is running and kind of see the output of what your code is doing. And then on the left-hand side, you have your file explorer as far as showing like your Sketch.js file and that kind of a thing, for example. Yeah, Sandbox was rough for a lot of folks. So Replit hopefully will be a little bit easier and user-friendly. The first week we do have a README file in there to kind of help illustrate how to use it. But especially the first week, if you're uncomfortable or not familiar with, or you just need a little extra help getting your bearings of where to find everything, then please reach out to your mentors. If mentors aren't available, you can even reach out to me and I can kind of help show you around and give you a tour so it makes a little bit more sense. From week 6 on, you'll be using GitHub to be able to keep all of your code in one place, and you'll just update the files in your GitHub repository each week with whatever the assignment instructions are. And then your assignment reviewer will take a look at your code and give you feedback on it. Squibby 2.0 is a cute little nickname we have for our web form for submitting assignments. It's basically just a form on a web page, and you select your name, you select your class, you select which week you're submitting your assignment for, and then you can put in any questions and feedback about the class for the week. And I'm going to give you visuals on all of these tools too after we take a short break too. So that way you can see it and know, okay, this is what it looks like. I'm in the right place. We had already talked about Slack and Discord. I'll give you a visual on those as well. And then for your mentor sessions, they'll all be on Zoom with the exception of one-on-one sessions. So if you sign up for a one-on-one session, then you'll arrange with the mentor how you want to meet. Slack has a feature for you to be able to meet on a visual call and share your screen so that way they can look at your code and that kind of a thing. They also might use Google Meet, their personal Google Meet to be able to meet up with you, or their personal Zoom to meet up with you. But if you're going to a group session, one of those scheduled group sessions, then it'll be on Zoom, just like we are right now. And it'll be the same link every time you join. So you just have to click that link, it'll pop you into the class, and then you can go ahead and do what you need to in that mentor session. Questions about the tools at all? Good. Okay, awesome. All right, roles and expectations I like to just kind of cover so that way you know who's doing what as far as the class and what's expected of everybody. So Code the Dream organization, we set up the curriculum and put it in the arrangement that we do. We build your website so that way you know what lessons you're doing what weeks. Any kind of videos, assignments, supplemental material, we organize all that for you on your class website so that way you can refer to that. We help communicate with mentors, get those aligned for each class, talk about timeline, get an orientation done for them as well so they know what the process is. We design and assess practicums and final projects for the advanced classes, and then we track progress. So if it looks like somebody's falling behind in submitting assignments, or if you stop attending mentor sessions, then we're going to reach out to you. It's not to give you any kind of slap on the wrist. We want to check and make sure you're okay. We want to see if there's anything that you need to be able to keep on track with your learning. That's our biggest concern. So this isn't going to be like another school where it's like, oh, you missed 2 mentor sessions, you're out. None of that. It's going to be a case of talk to us about where you're at, what your struggles are. Let's see what we can do to make sure that you're not going to lose momentum and you're going to be able to stay pretty close to the pace of the class and hopefully finish on time with the class. We've done some data analysis on our students from the past, from 2021. And the biggest success factor for people to be able to be into a software developer job within a year of starting our program is finishing their first class. So really, get in there, get dirty, focus with your first class, and do the best you can to be able to stay close to on track, and or to be able to complete it and get a good understanding of everything. And of course, we're here to be able to help with any of that. So let us know if there's anything that you need. We do determine which students are going to progress to the next course. So if you complete your intro final project and we're like, the skills are still looking a little weak here or there, then we might recommend that you repeat just a week or two of your class and revise your final project before we let you proceed onto the advanced class. Or if it's like you're not getting the information that you need to get to be able to have a strong foundation and do well in the advanced class, then we may have you repeat. But it's rare that that winds up happening. Usually it's like, okay, I can tell this person struggled with Ajax or API, cover those 2 weeks, rework it, and then we'll get you into the next advanced class after you're able to really get a good understanding of that material. So mentors are going to host a minimum of one hour long mentor session per week for the ones that are scheduled mentors. They will take attendance because they do need to report to us who's attending their sessions. So expect that they'll take attendance. They also should be checking in with you as far as where you're at. And it's not, again, it's not a case of, being like, oh, shame on you, why didn't you stay on track? It's so that they can tailor and alter what they're covering with their mentor session depending on where everybody is. So if they've got a session on a Wednesday night and our weeks start on Wednesday, of course you're not going to have time to be able to go through all of your lesson materials on Wednesday when the week starts on Wednesday. So Wednesday and Thursday sessions might be more of a review of your previous week. They're checking in with you to see where you're at so they can meet you where you're at and help you understand and be able to move along throughout the class. They will let us know if there's any kind of abrupt change to their schedule. So you might see an alert in your class announcements channel on Slack. Hey, so-and-so had an emergency, or they have a work meeting. They're not going to be able to keep their usual mentor session. So be sure to take a look at the schedule and reschedule yourself onto another mentor session or set up a one-on-one. All of our mentors are really pretty good about if they have to cancel a session unexpectedly, that they either then offer one-on-one times to students to be able to meet with, or they reschedule their session. They also will likely be answering some questions in your class discussion channel. But if you all know the answer and can help each other out, that's great too. So their primary focus is to be able to help support you in your learning and answer any questions that you have about the curriculum information or about what it's like to work in the tech industry. It's fine to ask them, hey, how did you get your start, or what is a technical interview like, or anything like that. Okay, so for you all, we expect you to cover your learning materials each week, complete your coding and mindset assignments each week, attend 2 mentor sessions. If there's a week where you're like, oh yeah, I've already taken HTML, this totally makes sense to me, it's okay to just do 1 session or to skip sessions that week. If you feel really solid on the material, you don't have any questions, that's okay. But on average, it's best to be able to try and attend 2 mentor sessions a week, just because that's when you're going to get all your questions answered. And you might get some extra tidbits of information. A lot of mentors like to show sort of real world examples of concepts you're learning, so it makes things make more sense in a realistic way. And then just be supportive of each other, encourage each other, mutual respect. I always tell people, think before you speak. Is what I'm about to say truthful, helpful, insightful, necessary, and kind? So just think about if what you're going to say is going to bring people up or tear people down. If it's going to tear people down, zip the lip. You should take about 15 to 20 hours of work a week on the coursework. Some weeks it might be a little bit longer, some it might be a little bit shorter. It depends on if you've experienced that material already or not, and just how easily it comes to you. So know that there might be a little bit of variance, but on average, it's about 15 to 20 hours a week. Okay, and then class flow. So as I mentioned, our classes start on Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays, you'll want to be sure to read any announcements that we post in your classes announcements channel. Look over your lesson for the week. So just kind of skim it and see, okay, what am I learning about this week? Make sure that you understand where the links are, where the assignments are, that kind of a thing. And then go ahead and start your lesson if you have time. If not, then Thursday through Sunday is when you can go ahead and start working through your lesson, get into your coding assignment after you've completed your lesson materials, or cover your mindset assignment, whatever works best for your schedule. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I always post announcements. So Monday, read any announcements that I post. Usually it's just, if there's going to be a holiday closing or if there's anything different or something helpful to know about what's coming up for the week ahead for you. And then finish up your lesson assignments. Tuesdays, you can take a look over your assignment for a final review, make sure it makes sense to you, notate any questions to ask at your next session, that kind of a thing, and then submit your work and feedback about the lesson for the week. Throughout the week, attend 2 mentor sessions. Again, those can either be group or individual, or some combination thereof. And then post in the discussion if you have questions or if you find a tool that was really helpful for you on that assignment that week, then feel free to share that. And just let us know if you need any help throughout that process too. All right, this has been a lot of info. So we're going to take just a short, probably 2 or 3 minute break in case anybody needs to grab something to drink or use the restroom. And then we will come back to it in just a few minutes. So I've got 9:37 Eastern time right now. So I'll see you all, just changed over 9:38. So I'll see you all at 9:40 Eastern time. But feel free to chat in the chat or anything along those lines. Manon had asked, did I understand right that there is a work to do work assignment every week? Yes, there is a coding assignment and a mindset assignment every week of your class. With the exception of week 1, we don't give you a mindset assignment week 1 because you're already, up to your ears and getting comfortable of where to find everything. But yes, there is an assignment every week that you'll turn in on Tuesdays, ideally. All right, folks, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Let me pull the music back on so that way you can enjoy some relaxing music for a couple minutes. I have not sent out the Slack workspace invites yet. That will be going out this weekend, so you'll definitely have it by Monday. That was a great question, and I'll cover that again after we're back from break too.
If we're not able to attend like a meeting, is it okay if we just attend another one, like another time? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it'll make more sense in the second half is when I give you visuals on like how to sign up for your mentor sessions and stuff. So it'll make more sense once you take a look at that as far as like, oh, okay, there are mentor sessions on all of these days. And if you sign up for one and something happens and you can't make it, that's okay. We know that there'll be weeks where, kids are sick or, you're sick or whatever, and you just can't do it. And that's all right. We totally get that life comes up. That I was very much in that situation when I was a student with Code the Dream too, that sometimes things come up, just let us know and do your best. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I am going to go ahead and kill the music and we'll go ahead and jump back in. Hopefully everybody's back, and let me, hold on, where did my stop share go? There it is. Okay. And now we just need to jump back into here. Okay. All right, so we've talked about the materials, assignments, sessions, community, final projects. You can disregard the and practicum, that's for the advanced class. So the address for your class is Cassiopeia Intro to Programming. Odin project for your materials. This just kind of gives you a quick overview of what I talked about earlier. As far as Replit for your first 5 weeks, GitHub from week 6 on. Mindset starts on week 2, so that way you can just get used to all of your class tools and where to find everything for week 1. And then sessions, there'll be links on your class website to be able to sign up for your sessions. Zoom if you're attending a group session. Otherwise, you'll arrange with a one-on-one mentor as far as how you're going to meet up, if it's going to be Google Meet or Zoom or Slack. So all of the individual classes have their own class announcements, class discussion, and class outlet channels. So you'll be added to those once you get the Slack invitation this weekend and get into the Slack workspace. Then you'll see what that looks like. I'll give you a preview of what it looks like with our last intro class that started too, just so you can get eyes on things. Communicate in whatever method works best. If you want to share phone numbers, if you want to share email addresses, if you want to just chat over Discord, chat over Slack, whatever you want to do, that's perfectly fine. And then your final project you're going to build from week 6 when you start GitHub through week 16. We do have you do final project presentations at the end of the class. So it's going to be either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday after your scheduled last Tuesday of class. And don't fret about it. It's not as big a deal as most people worry about. Final project presentations is just, hey, here's my site. This is how it works. Everything's functional, or almost everything's functional. I'm still struggling with this part, but I'll have it working within a week or whatever. So feel free to not fret about your final projects. It's really a fun night to be able to get to see everybody's different design styles and how they do things. So it's pretty fun. We had a question from Simon. I've been using VS Code a little. Is it possible to stick with VS Code over Replit? So for the first 5 weeks, you do have to do it with Replit because we just want you working in just vanilla JavaScript and not having to build in any of those HTML file structures to show the JavaScript that you're working with. So you will use Replit for your first 5 weeks. VS Code is recommended for your IDE for how you're like writing and working within your code and how you push and pull your code to and from GitHub from week 6 on. And it's okay if that didn't make sense to anybody because you're going to learn it. We have a nice recording section that one of our mentors shared to kind of get you comfortable with VS Code and all of the fun things. So typical weekly workload and hours Simon had asked was 15 to 20 hours a week for work. Again, it might vary based on if you've already been familiar with a particular concept or just how quickly or not quickly something comes to you as you're learning. But on average, about 15 to 20. Were there any questions I missed? Let me think. Okay, good. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anybody's questions in the chat. All right. So materials, let's go ahead and get eyes on these. I need to jump over to here. All right. So this is learn.codethedream.org, Cassiopeia-intro-2-programming, your website address. As I mentioned, I don't have you in the navigation bar here yet, but you will be. You will also be on the main page. So there'll be a little icon with a character for you to be able to click on your class's channel, to be able to take to the page. If you click on classes, then it also has a list of past classes in case you're curious and want to see what those class schedules were like. But otherwise, this will be your main page that you'll want to check every Wednesday to keep track with your course schedule. So we've got a link to your student resources. I'll open that so you can see what that looks like too. That's available in class resources, student resources. We also have information about like front end versus back end development, rubrics for different final projects for the classes in case you're curious what's expected of you for your final projects for the various classes. And then Git process for practicums, apprenticeship requirements, all kinds of fun information there. And the Job Seekers Toolkit helps with portfolio and mini projects and applying for jobs and that kind of thing. Code the Dream will just take you to our main our main organization site in case you want to learn about who works for us or projects that we've built on the dev shop side, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is what your main page looks like. You can click this link to jump to the bottom of the page where we've got our mentor session links. Otherwise, you can just scroll down too. So here's your calendar with sort of the syllabus and schedule. Each week is outlined for what number week it is. It'll show you the start date. So you'll start July 20th, and then you should complete everything from that lesson 1-1 by July 26th. To see what the specific information is for that lesson, then you'll just click on lesson and it'll open in a new tab. And it lets you know what your learning objectives are. Here are your lesson materials. So you'll want to click these links and read through the information. So the first one is just foundations problem solving, and it just kind of gives you some information about how to solve problems as a developer and, pseudo coding, which is extremely helpful. It's a way to be able to kind of write what you want your code to do before you actually write the code itself. So it's just helpful information along those lines. So you'll want to go through each of those links. So this will be your second link that you'll want to go through and read through for that lesson 1-1. And they have a similar structure as far as like, this is what we're going to cover in this lesson, how to run JavaScript code, variables. Whenever you see links like this within the content on Odin project, you'll want to go ahead and click those links and work through it. So here's a variable tutorial that explains everything that you need to know. The tasks at the end you don't have to do. If you'd like to kind of code alongside or get that extra muscle memory built up, then feel free to do the tasks that they outline for you at the end. But you don't turn any of those tasks into us at all. Only your coding assignment is what you'll turn in and submit for work. So that kind of gives you visuals on those. So now let's talk assignments. We had our lesson materials there. Here's the assignments part that we were talking about, and it's broken into coding assignment and mindset assignment. Your coding assignment will always be a link for you to follow. The first 5 weeks, it just is here, click here kind of a thing. Once you start with GitHub, then it'll look more like the name of your class, because we have Besla and Bohr, which are intro classes running alongside you. They're just further along in the program right now. So just be sure that you're clicking on the link for Cassiopeia, not for Besla or Bohr. But you click there to be able to get redirected to your assignment. And then you'll want to fork the REPL to be able to open it up in your own. You'll need to either sign up or log in the first week, so that way it saves your work. But of course it's going to do this to me. Let's see if it even lets me do it. Oh, and of course I don't have my password signed up. Hold on, let me just open it on another window so that way you can get a visual on it, because that's going to be a delay and a pain. Just go to Replit. And here we go. Let me pull this in. Okay, let me go to. So once you're signed in, then your main page is going to look like this. You'll see your little name and avatar and whatever when you're signed in. Any recents will be your the assignments that you do. So you can click on your recents, or you can go to my REPLs and select your REPLs there. So like, where's Meme's copy of JavaScript basics, for example? Here we go, copy of lesson 1.1. Hopefully this won't be showing you all the answers, but we'll see. Come on now. There we go. Yeah, it does have some of the answers in there. So we have the instructions commented out. There's a README file here that lets you know we're covering JavaScript basics and numbers the first week. Here's how to use the Replit interface. So this whole page, it gives you an idea of how to use it. Files area is where it's got your files. The index.js is the only place where you need to write your code. And then your code that you write is in your index.js, the editor section here. And then you've got shell and console over here. And the mentors will help get you familiar with that. But console is where you can like run your console logs to see if your code's doing what you want it to do. And then in shell is where you'll run npm test to test your code against our test files to make sure that your code is doing what it's supposed to. And again, all of that's here in the instructions. So read through this little markdown file for your first week and it'll make sense. Reach out whenever you have questions or need help. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of new information. For most of you, it'll be a completely new interface to be working with. So please, please, please reach out to your mentors, reach out to me if you have any questions or are stuck and have problems. Okay, so that covers your coding assignment. Mindset assignment information will be there as well. I think I have it. Here's week 2. So your week 2 is your first mindset assignment. And again, it's just a couple of paragraphs to read, a little video to watch, and then you'll answer these questions when you go to submit your homework. All right, so let's talk about submitting your homework. You're going to use a Squibby 2.0. The links are available at the bottom here of all of your lesson pages. So like our lesson 1.1 page, Squibby 2.0 assignment submission form. Same thing on your lesson 1.2. Be sure to answer everything in your Squibby 2.0. And so this is what the form looks like. You just select your name out of the list. Select your class. So it should have Cassiopeia in here. And then you'll select which assignment you're doing. All of the intro lessons are up at the top. So it should be quick and easy for you to find the week that you're working on. So just go ahead and plug that in. You'll paste the link to your coding assignment here. So when you get done with your Replit JavaScript basics assignment, just copy your address and paste it in here. Mindset response for the first week, you can just put none first week or NA or whatever. Go ahead and list who the mentors are that you worked with for the week. These aren't required fields, so if you don't remember their names, especially early on when you're getting to know everybody, then it's fine to leave those blank, but go ahead and put down who you met with in case you did one-on-one meetings instead of scheduled meetings. You can also go ahead and put down who you met with for a scheduled meeting if you want to. And then the last part are a series of questions that we just ask to kind of get a better idea of how comfortable you feel with the material. So we have self-reporting measures as far as if you felt like you understood it or if it felt like it was completely foreign to you. You can put in information here for your self-reporting free answer. Your reviewers get this information. So if you're like, I didn't understand most of this topic, I really struggled with, the different kinds of variables and how to write them or whatever, put that information in there so that way your reviewer knows and can follow up with you on it. And then we also just like to check with you about lesson ratings. Was the lesson too easy? Was it too difficult? Was the assignment too easy or too difficult? How much time did you spend on it? Just so that way we can get a good idea of if we need to kind of revise our curriculum any. So hopefully, and then if there's any additional feedback you have, questions that you have that your reviewer needs to know about, like, I didn't understand this part of the assignment, that kind of a thing, plug those in. And then additional needs is like, if you're going to be without internet for a week, or, my computer completely died, do you know of any resources that might help me get a loaner computer until I'm back up and running, things like that. So anything that you need to be able to do your job as a student, go ahead and plug that in. Questions about the lesson pages, the class website, Replit, submitting assignments? Don't be shy. I'm here to help answer any questions, so fire anything off. And you can put it in chat or you can unmute and ask.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if it's time to sign the work, but I haven't, let's say, done it yet or something like that?
Oh, you mean to send the assignment in, to submit your assignment, but you're not complete with it?
Yeah.
Wait until you've completed it to submit. It's okay if it's like a day late or a couple days late. Try to stay on time as best you can, but we know things come up. A lot of you are working jobs, working multiple jobs, taking care of family members. Like, we totally get that. So just do your best to get it done as close to on track as possible. Submit it when you're done. Your reviewers will get an email notification once you submit, so that way they know that they can go ahead and start taking a look at your work. And what else was I going to say about that, Manon? It's better to do the assignment as much as you can and submit it, like complete it as best you can. If there are parts that are still broken, that's okay. Like, you can submit something that does have tests failing or parts that are broken, and just plug in your question section when you submit your assignment. Say, hey, my question 4 was still failing and I don't understand why. Something along those lines. So that way we can get a good image of where you're at and what you need assistance with.
Mm-hmm. And another part of the question, let's say I submit it and it's like completely wrong or something like that. Do I need to redo it?
So it's up to you as far as if you want to resubmit. I would recommend redoing it so that way you understand the material and understand where you went wrong to know how to go right. But as far as like if you need to resubmit it, that's not 100% necessary, because you'll be learning these things, and week to week you'll build on what you've learned. So your final project will be a good demonstration of whether or not you understood all the concepts throughout the course. So don't feel like you have to resubmit. If you want your reviewer to check over your rework of that assignment, then do resubmit it, because then it'll ping your reviewer again to take a look at your work. So if you want a reviewer to take a look again, then do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Any other questions?
Do we have to let the mentor or anyone know that we're going to turn it in late?
No, you don't need to let us know if it turns in late, because we track as far as like the date and time submitted. So that's perfectly fine. If you're going to be vastly late, then I would just ping me, just message me to let me know that, hey, I'm moving this week or something, and so I'm going to be much later. And that way I'll try and keep you off of any lists of students that I'm reaching out to about, we haven't gotten your assignment this week, is everything going okay? So I won't annoy you with a check-in email, because I'll know that you're running late.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you repeat, can you show me again where we are supposed to submit the assignment, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the Squibby 2.0 form, and the links for that are at the bottom of your lesson pages. And so you click that link, it'll open up this form for you, and then you'll fill in your information, and then the link to assignment is where you'll paste the link for your particular assignment. So like JavaScript basics, it looks a little off because it should have your username instead of Code the Dream here, but you'll just copy that particular address and paste it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, there was a question in the messages. Do we have access to future assignments to finish them ahead of schedule? Yes, if you want to work ahead, you are definitely allowed to work ahead. Be aware that mentor sessions typically either stay on track or they might be reviewing previous weeks. So you might not have an opportunity to ask questions in the group session if you're ahead of schedule for the class. So you may want to do one-on-ones. If you're ahead of schedule and you're struggling with something, then I would recommend doing a one-on-one instead of a group. So that way you can get your questions answered a little bit more effectively. Any other questions out there? Okay. All right, so assignments, we went over this a little bit as far as Replit. I also wanted to just show you all your classes GitHub page. When you go to, actually, hold on, let me grab the link from here. When you start week 6, lesson 2.1, that's when you'll start working in GitHub. And so I had mentioned that there are other classes that are also running alongside. I'll have your links for your class added in here. But in general, it's a main repository that you wind up kind of making a copy of, and then you work within your work from there. The instructions are all listed in that same repository with screenshots to help you kind of through that whole process. So when you complete your assignments, then you'll have a pull request that you'll create, and you'll submit the link to your pull request. So this was from a different student in a different class. They would submit this. Instead of Code the Dream School, though, you should see your GitHub username. And again, you don't have to worry too much about GitHub right now because you're still a month away from even beginning to touch on that. But I just wanted to give you a visual so that way you would see what that looks like. Okay. Let's see here. Mindset starts week 2. Submit using Squibbie 2.0. All of the lessons are in text. There might be a couple of, let me jump over here. There might be a couple of Odin project ones that do have like screenshots and or video with it. Not that one. Let's see here. Odin project fundamentals. So like, for example, the variable tutorial that's for your week 1. They do have sort of like some code examples there to make sense of. They use a lot of open source content. So like this is javascript.info is the website that they redirect you to be able to work through and understand about variables and constants and that kind of stuff. So you may have in these other links that you follow as you're working through your lesson materials, you may have either video or screenshot to give you a visual. Yeah, hopefully that helped answer that question. Any other questions so far about assignments? Okay, all right, so let's take a look at those mentor sessions so that way you'll be familiar with where to go for that. Let me close out some of these guys. Okay, so on your main class page where you've got your little calendar and your breakdown of what your different lessons are, down here at the bottom is where you have your mentor session calendar links. So traditional mentors are going to be the ones where they have a set hour block that's usually regular from week to week, like Mondays at, let's see here, Ethan's going to have one Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific. So say you wanted to go ahead and sign up for Ethan's session, then you just click the sign up with this mentor button and it redirects you to their calendar. You'll click on the day for the session that you want to sign up for. So the 18th at 7, and then you just click confirm. And that way it'll get you all set up with signed up on his mentor session. This is a new format that we're using, different from previous classes that we've done, to use these Calendly links to be able to assign you mentors, or rather for you to assign yourself to a mentor session. So just bear with us. Let us know if there are any errors or issues. I think and hope that there is a email reminder that's set up that kind of like pings your calendar to let you know, hey, you signed up for such and such, so that it emails you a reminder or a confirmation that you've signed up for such. But just let me know if there's any kind of confusion or issues and we can work it out. But bear with us because this is new for us too, using this format. So we might have to take a minute to be able to investigate and find out what the solution is.
You don't have access to this, right? Yes.
What was the question?
We don't have access to this website yet, right?
You do. It's so you can just go to the Cassiopeia-intro-2-2 programming. So you can go to this particular web address. Let me go ahead and copy and put it in the chat. I just don't have it in your navigation bar yet. So if you go to learn.codethedream.org, you're not going to be able to find it in here yet. I'll be building that this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you can go to the link that I just put in chat to be able to access it if you'd like to. And then our by appointment only mentors section, this is going to be growing a little bit too. We're waiting on confirmation from a couple of our mentors. So for Mary Clayton, she is just a one-on-one mentor. She doesn't have like a regular Mondays at 7 the way Ethan does. So you can just click sign up with this mentor. And again, it'll pull up their Calendly. And so it's a 15-minute mentor meeting. You can sign up for a couple if you want to do a half hour with her or that kind of a thing. And you just click on whatever day. You can see all the various times, start times. So you can just pick whatever time works best for you. These should update to whatever your local time is my understanding of how Calendly works. So you're seeing Eastern times right now. So like Wednesday the 20th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. But if you are in your machine accessing this, then it should show you different times that are to your locality, is my understanding. But keep us posted again if there's any kind of issue or trouble or anything like that. So I think that covers our mentor sessions. Any questions about sessions and how that works?
I do have a question. So I understand that we're supposed to meet twice a week with our mentors. So do we do one with the traditional mentor and then another one with the 15-minute session, or do we do two traditional? Like, what combination do we do?
Yeah, you can do whatever winds up working best for you. So if you prefer to only do one-on-ones and you only do one-on-ones the whole course, that's totally fine. If you only want to do group sessions, that's fine too. If you want to do some mixture of it, that's totally fine. So do whatever seems to work best for your learning style. And or if you meet one of the mentors and you're like, I really like the way they teach, it really makes sense the way they're explaining it to me, and you just want to stick with them regardless of whether they're a scheduled or a by appointment, then that's fine. We want you to do what's best for your learning style. Yep.
Gotcha. And so the traditional mentors are the group sessions, correct?
Yeah, traditional mentors are the group sessions, and the mentor sessions typically are about an hour long. If nobody's bringing any questions, then it might be shorter. If you have a lot of questions and the mentor has time after, it might go a little bit longer. But on average, usually the traditional mentor group sessions are 1 hour long. Be sure to bring your questions to your mentor sessions. So make sure that you're able to at least dig a little bit into your lesson materials or start on your coding assignment before you're attending sessions, and or bring questions from your previous week to the sessions. So that way you have things to talk about and questions to get answered.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah, absolutely. Other questions about mentor sessions at all? Oh, one thing I did want to know about mentor sessions, for the traditional ones where it's the 1 hour scheduled time, in case you have a mentor that doesn't show, I do like to cover this just in case. It doesn't happen terribly often, but we ask that you give 15 minutes into the start of the mentor session. So if it's supposed to start at 6 p.m., wait until 6:15 before you bail, just in case they were just running a little bit late or anything like that. Be sure to either let myself or Reed Russum, who's our programs associate, and he works more closely with the mentor side of classes. You can let either of us know that the mentor was a no-show for your session. In the event that the mentor doesn't show up, you're welcome to just stay on the call together and help each other out, and make it like just a little student-led study session. Again, it doesn't happen terribly often. Usually we know in advance if a mentor has to change or cancel their session, but just on the off chance, somebody's sick and wasn't able to communicate with us or something like that, then just be aware. Questions about that process or anything? Okay, so now let's talk about community as far as how we're going to connect. So here is Slack. This is what the desktop application looks like for it. If you have it on mobile, it'll have a similar format, but it'll work a little bit differently because obviously it's on a smaller screen. When you get your Slack workspace invitation, you'll want to go ahead and accept it, and you'll set up your profile. You can access and change or update your profile once you're in Slack by just clicking on your picture up here at the top, or clicking on your little avatar icon or whatever at the top, and then go to profile. And then let me go to edit. So we ask that you include either in your name or your display name the name of your class. It just makes it a lot easier if I'm getting a message from multiple students and they're like, when is the deadline for such and such? Or can you tell me what the mentor sessions are for this particular class? It's easier for me, and I can find that information quicker if I can look at your name and know which class you're in. So feel free to just add in Cassiopeia at the end of your name, and that way it'll make it quicker and easier for me to be able to get answers if you ping me with any questions. And you can put in what time zone you're in, you can upload a photo, all of that good stuff for your profile. When you are in Slack, you have a menu bar on the side here, which will show your channels. I have a whole lot of channels since I am involved with all of the classes, but you should just have Cassiopeia announcements, Cassiopeia discussion, Cassiopeia outlets, and then you'll have one that's called an all student convo and general. So you'll have those 5 channels in your Slack channel. And let me just show you what the other intro class looks like. So announcements. This was our old format for mentor sessions. It was a spreadsheet, so disregard that. But Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll just do an @ channel, which will alert it when you have a new message in a channel. It'll be bold-faced the way I've got this one over here. It's a bold white instead of a plain white. And it'll just be, hello students, here are the links to your lesson page, your coding assignment, anything that you might need, any special announcements. I had posted while I was on vacation, that kind of a thing. So Mondays and Wednesdays, you'll see things pop up in the announcements channel, both with your links for your lesson and your assignments, as well as any announcements that are important for your class. Your discussion channel is going to look like this. And so the discussion channel is really just for students to be able to push questions for other students or for mentors to answer. So for example, we've got, I'm running git push and I'm getting this error, what do I do? Or way earlier on in the conversation, they probably had questions about like, I'm confused about, here's my code and it's not working. And sometimes it just helps to get another person's eyes and be like, oh yeah, you have a typo here or whatever. So feel free to use Cassiopeia discussion to be able to talk to one another. Cassiopeia outlet is going to be used for more social stuff, as far as like, hey, I finally got my code working, I'm so excited, or I'm really down, does anybody have words of encouragement for me? So it's a little bit more social. And then let me show you Discord too. Which window is it going to open on? And it always takes it a minute for it to open. And since I'm on a call, then it's probably going to go a little bit slow too. So bear with me. But I just wanted to show you the Discord interface so that way if you decide, you don't have to join Discord, but if you want to, we'll have instructions posted in your announcements channel over the next week to let you know how to be able to join in and get rolling on that. And it's just taking forever to start. I think because I'm on the call, then it's going painfully slow and doesn't want to start up for me. So I'm going to let that run in the background and we'll see. Questions about like how to be able to communicate with each other and reach out to one another through Slack or through Discord? Yeah, it's having me log in and I didn't save my password on Discord, so we'll have to wait. There are screenshots, to the best of my knowledge, in the Discord instructions that we'll post up. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. A lot of you may already be familiar with Discord. I am old and I'm not as familiar with it. So you may be like, oh yeah, I'm already on that with other social groups. But anyway, okay, let's see here. Can we just get on that Slack whenever? Yes, yeah, Slack you can get on whenever. If you have the app on your phone or on a tablet, or if you've got the app on your computer, whatever device you're using it on, you can have it up and running in the background. It does have some settings as well as far as like notifications. Let me see if I can find it. You can pause notifications. So if you don't want to be pinged, if it does any kind of like audio bell, if you get a new message posted, then you can pause notifications so it doesn't bother you. And then in preferences is where they have a lot of your options as far as like notify me about any direct messages, or notify me about all new messages, or don't notify me about anything. So you can kind of traipse through that area and set up your settings however you'd like to. If you're on a computer and you get a new message, then usually it just pings you in like your notification center. For Macs, then it should, you know, post in your notification center at the top. For PCs, which I'm running on, then it'll post it in, not the clock, it'll post it in your notifications panel, which is on my other window, so I can't show it to you, but it'll have that information there. Let's see here. Yeah, it's basically just like a giant group chat, to answer that question for you, Anna. So, all right, that covers Slack and Discord. Anybody have any questions about that? Okie dokie. All right, and then final project. I don't have an example final project to show you all, but we do have one that's linked. Oh, actually, yeah, I can just use that one. We should have one linked in your lesson page. So that way you can kind of see what to expect. Here's the video on the Visual Studio Code and getting that all set up. So if you want to watch that the week before or the week of starting Git, then that's recommended. And then maybe it's in this one. I know in one of our assignments we have an example. Sorry, it's going to take me a minute to dig and find it. But we had one that was an example portfolio to kind of give you an idea of what it should look like. HTML format, JavaScript challenges. I promise it's in here. And if it's not, I'll be sure to get it in there. Article. Maybe we have it down on one of the final project ones. Rubric, more information below. Final project presentation. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find it. Sorry about that, guys. But I know on one of your lesson pages, if it's not there, then I will definitely be putting it there. Just an example portfolio, so you can see what it winds up looking like as a finished product. And I think that covers the majority of it. Code the Dream culture we talked about earlier, as far as discrimination-free, harassment-free. If you're experiencing any discrimination or harassment with mentors or classmates, then please, please, please make me aware of it. Or you can also let Lori Kamala, our program director, know about it if you're more comfortable speaking with her. And our information should be up in various locations on your class website. You can reach us through Slack by just searching for our name to be able to contact us. Oh, actually, that was one thing I wanted to show you in Slack. To direct message somebody, just compose a new message, and then you can put in the person that you wanted to talk to, select their name from the list, start your message, and send. So you can direct message somebody. Your channels are all sort of public shared channels. So if you're posting anything in your discussion channels for your class, then whatever you post here, everybody in the class is going to be able to see. So if it's something that you do want to keep private, then use a direct message to a mentor or to a classmate or somebody, rather than posting it in a public place like that. That was the other thing that I wanted to cover with Slack. In case of any emergencies, this is very, very unlikely, but we like to have protocols in place just in case. If you're on a Zoom call in a group mentor session and somebody's experiencing an emergency, the mentors have been instructed what to do in that kind of situation. So just listen to the mentors. They might ask you to exit the call, so that way just they and the person who's having the issue and whoever they get on 911 operator can work together. They may ask one of you to stay, so that way they just have somebody else witnessing and you know, helping gather information about how the person is doing, that kind of a thing. So just follow the mentor's instructions if anybody winds up having any emergency on the call. And helpful tips for learning: be inclusive, judgment-free zone. This was the think before you speak that I had mentioned earlier. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of students are from different cultures. Some cultures are very discouraging of asking questions because implies that you don't know what you're doing. Well, we're all learning here. And in our culture, we want you to ask questions. We want to be able to answer those questions for you. And we don't know what you don't know if you don't share that with us. So even though it might be intimidating, please go ahead and ask questions. I can guarantee you, anytime I have been mentoring any classes, if one person has a question, there are at least 3 other students that have that exact same question. So if nothing else, ask for the sake of your peers so that way people can get answers to their questions. If you start to fall behind, ask for help early. It's easier to catch up if you're a week behind than if you're 2 or 3 weeks behind. If you're getting really, really far behind because something big has changed in your life, talk to me about it so that way we can come up with a new plan to be able to kind of help you through your learning process where you won't lose momentum, or get you in a situation where you can continue to follow your dreams. Don't skip a mentor session just because you're unprepared or underprepared, because they may cover information that will help you as you get to that point of the assignment or of the lesson materials and work through it. Try and carve out your time, like set a schedule for yourself, like every Tuesday for 2 hours, I'm going to go ahead and just sit down and focus on my lesson materials. Every Thursday, I'll sit down for an hour and work on my coding assignment. Do whatever you need to do to be able to kind of create that plan and carve out time for yourself. Melanie, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are all the mentor sessions scheduled by the person, like by the student?
Yes, all of your mentor sessions you will schedule. So you'll take a look at that mentor section of your class schedule page, and you'll sign up for those particular ones that you need. One thing I did want to note, let me jump back to it really quick. So when we were going to like set up one with Ethan for Mondays at 7, when you sign up for this one for 7 o'clock on Monday the 18th, that only signs you up for Monday the 18th. So you will need to keep revisiting their Calendly links and sign up for the 25th when he posts that he's available that day. Sign up for, if it'll let me advance, come on. I think it's because I'm in that other day. Sign up for August 1st, so on and so forth. So you will need to keep revisiting these Calendly links and signing up for your session each week. And I'll post reminders on Mondays and Wednesdays to kind of help encourage people. And I'll put a link to this section of the page. So that way, hey, if you haven't signed up for a mentor session, hop on there, take a look and sign up. Some mentors will cap how many students can participate. Yeah, so like, for example, Kevin only wants a maximum of 10 students in his sessions. So you do want to go ahead and take a look at mentor sessions and sign up early. I usually recommend taking a look Sunday or Mondays and sign up for the upcoming week. So 17th or 18th, take a look for any sessions from the 20th to the 24th and sign up for those times. The mentor sessions that they have posted here for the 18th are probably just going to be more of a meet and greet since it's before the actual class start date. So if you all want to sign up for it and just kind of get to know them and ask some general questions, feel free to do that. That can count as one of your mentor sessions. Does that answer everything, Melanie?
Yes.
Okay, nice.
I know also, actually, no, never mind. I know we start class on the 20th, right? But I don't see any dates for the 20th, or
Yeah, so they'll be building out their Calendly schedule from week to week as well. So they don't have anything for it in there yet, but this weekend then we'll be pinging them and let all the mentors know, hey, be sure that you have your mentor calendar schedule up for the week of the 20th to the 26th. Sorry, I had to look at a calendar quick. And that way you'll be able to sign up for those sessions at that point. Good questions.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, be sure that you're understanding material before tackling the next week. All right, so that covers the bulk of everything. Hopefully I've answered a lot of questions, but I'm going to stick around till the very, very end in case anybody has any other questions. Next steps for what you should expect in the next, not 7 days because it's Friday, not Wednesday. So the next 4 or 5 days, keep an eye on your email for your Slack workspace invitation. If it's Monday the 18th and you have not gotten a Slack workspace invitation from me in your inbox, please email me, maryalice@codethedream.org, and be like, hey, what happened? Also check your spam and trash folders. As you all know, as we went through the application process, sometimes mass emails cause all kinds of havoc and send messages where they're not supposed to go. But yes, just ping me if it's Monday, the 18th, and you have not gotten a Slack workspace invitation. Before the first day of class, you can set up your GitHub account if you want to. You don't have to do anything with GitHub until week 6, but you can at least create an account if you don't already have one, and make note of your passwords and your usernames and all that kind of stuff. Preview the class website, learn.codethedream.org. You can check your Slack class announcements channel on Monday the 18th for any announcements that I post there. Check it again on the first day of class, Wednesday the 20th. And then just get ready to have fun, work hard, and learn. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I know you all can do it, and we're here to support you. So just communicate with us for anything that you might need. After class, once it's done, about halfway to 2/3 through the class, then we're going to have a Zoom call just like we're doing right now to talk to you about front end versus back end versus full stack, so you can decide what advanced class you want to take when you're done with intro. And then you'll let us know which of those classes you're interested in taking. Your final projects will get evaluated, and we'll notify you if your work is sufficient to move on to that advanced you're choosing. Advanced classes are a very similar format as far as you'll have a class page and lessons each week that you'll work through, mentor sessions that you'll join, assignments you'll submit, that kind of a thing. So it's very much the same. It's just more difficult material, and it goes at a little bit faster pace too for the advanced classes. So be sure you have a good solid foundation before you move on. If you need any help, reach out to your mentors. You can reach out to me. If you have any other questions or concerns that you need to contact myself or the program director, I've got our emails there. Lori and I both are on Slack, so you can direct message either of us on Slack if you need or want to. All right. Well, I kept y'all a little bit longer than I was intending and hoping to, and I'm sorry I've talked at you for the past hour and a half, but thank you for joining tonight. I hope this helps answer a lot of your questions and at least give you a visual on what to expect going forward. So if you've got what you need and you want to hop off now, you can go ahead and hop off. Otherwise, I will stick around and answer any other questions anybody has. All right, we've got a question from Rebecca. Percentage of students typically move on to an advanced class? That is a great question. We do have a pretty high attrition rate, but from what we can tell from our data, it's a result of the population of students that we work with. So usually about half of a class that starts is able to see it through to the end of the class. And it's because a lot of times people move, they have visas expire and have to relocate to their home country. They might have to work multiple jobs. With COVID, we've had a lot of people that have had to take care of sick family members or have to deal with funeral arrangements, unfortunately, with COVID that was going on. So hopefully more than half of you will be completing the class on time. We are here to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that you complete class on time or close to on time. But yeah, that's roughly about the average, is about half of the students of an intro class are able to move on to the advanced class. Thank you all so much for anybody that's hopping off. Thank you for joining. And if you think of other things, you can always email me. So if you think of anything that wasn't covered, then just send me an email. Thanks,
Now we
everyone.
have to take at least two, like meet up with a mentor at least 2 times a week, right? But I am taking courses, like I'm in college right now.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's gonna fit with my schedule, like 2 times.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable, Melanie. As long as you're getting what you need to be able to understand the material and to progress in the class, then that's okay. We know that some students might have already gone through a boot camp or might already know parts or a lot of our curriculum for the intro class already. If one mentor session a week is sufficient for you to get what you need and to be successful in the class, that's fine. So yeah, that's if you need to prioritize your time and be like, look, I can't devote 2 hours to a mentor session because I need that extra second hour to be working on my code and to reread my lesson materials to understand it, that's fine. Use your time in whatever way is most efficient for you to have productive learning.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
Great question, Manana, as far as our classes similar to boot camps. So boot camps are interesting. Usually they are a little bit longer. I think they tend to be like 6 months to a year. And they're very intensive and they're very full-time. So attending a boot camp is going to be more like being enrolled in a full-time education program, like almost as if you were like in a community college taking 5 courses a semester kind of a thing. So boot camps are much more intensive, and there's usually a pretty hefty price tag with most boot camps. So we try and condense the time and get you the fundamentals and get you resources for additional things outside of the fundamentals. So that way you can really kind of be a self-starter and hit the ground running quicker than if you were in a boot camp. Hopefully that helped answer your question, Manon, but if not, feel free to put any other additional questions up in the chat or unmute. Okay, I'm going to scroll through and make sure I didn't miss anybody else's questions in amidst all of the thank yous and jumping out. Let's see here. A bit of a head start, got some fundamentals covered already. Perfect. Yeah, so Simon, for the first several weeks, it's all JavaScript basics. If you already feel pretty solid on JavaScript, then I would go ahead and look at, I think it's week 4 or week 5. Actually, no, I think it's week 6, week 7. It's after we've completed the JavaScript section and we start getting into like how the web works and that kind of thing. There should be a link that's like additional learning resources at the very, very bottom of your lesson page. Let me actually jump to it and see if I can find it. That have like almost like practice code for you to work with to be able to keep your JavaScript skills, JavaScript skills sharp. Wow, that's hard to say. No, it must be in 3.1, must be in 4.1. Here we go, additional learning opportunities. So like JavaScript challenges to be able to kind of work through. That's what I would recommend, because the assignment itself will probably go pretty quick for you, I suspect, Simon. Hopefully that helped answer your question. Okay, and then let me take a look at our other questions. Is this class put plus the advanced class sufficient to be able to get a job? And if so, what are some cool jobs employers people have been able to get? Yes, yeah, completing the intro and an advanced class should be sufficient for you to be able to get into entry-level work. And it depends on your tech stack. We've had a number of students go to originally we started out predominantly just in North Carolina. So we have a lot of folks that like went to North Carolina government or Duke University, their sort of tech department within the university that helps teachers build their tech for their students there. We've had some that have been hired on with Airbnb. There's a financial company that's based out of the UK, and I can't for the life of me remember their name. But they work specifically like with helping people learning sort of money matters and how to budget and that kind of a thing. And so it's a free app. And we've had some folks go with that company. Our one of our co-CEOs is working with establishing relationships with large tech companies in and around the Raleigh-Durham area, which we do have a number of companies like Red Hat and IBM and Cisco and SAS that are in this area geographically. And so they're working on building relationships to have some of our apprentices and or some of our graduates move into entry-level or intern positions with those companies. We don't have anything definitive in place yet, but that's what we're working towards, is to try and create a pipeline that will funnel students and apprentices from our program into these entry-level positions for some of these bigger tech companies. Hopefully that helps answer your question, Christina. Do you know how much someone can charge as an independent contractor working as a software engineer? I don't know offhand, Yenny, as far as what pricing is like for that. That would be an excellent question to check with your mentors about. Some of the mentors work in like co-op dev shops. Some of them work for larger companies. So they'll be able to give you a better idea of sort of what's already out there in the job market and what income levels are like for those. I will say for all of the students that I've heard that have gone on to software developer jobs, excuse me, man, I've got a frog in my throat. For the students that have gone on to software developer jobs after classes, I have not heard of anybody getting less than 5 figures. I don't think I've heard of anybody getting less than like 50,000 a year as their salary. So it's a decent place to start off at. And of course, as you build your knowledge base, then you can negotiate higher pay, especially with build more experience. Yes, for entry level. That is correct, Yenny. And of course, it varies from company to company. Yes, yeah, 5 figures for entry level positions. That's why it's great to be working in tech, because they do value their employees in most companies, and what you do is not simple, and so of course that comes with a price tag. Yes, I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
Get like a certificate after the classes to prove
Thank
like
you.
we have
Yes, I forgot
taken?
to mention about that, Melanie. So IT is interesting. In the medical field, for example, like certified nurse practitioners or physician's assistants, they have to pass like board exams that get them certifications, or get them licensures to be able to do their job. In IT industry, there's nothing like that. We don't really have any IT standards, with the exception of, I know Cisco has a series of exams that will have you be like a certified Cisco specialist, as far as like CCNP or CCNA, things that you can get specifically with that company. But in IT in general, we don't have something that's like, oh, you take the bar exam and you're a lawyer. There's nothing like that in IT, but we do provide a certificate of completion, and we specify on there as far as like you've learned your JavaScript, HTML, GitHub, CSS, those kinds of things. So that way you do have some kind of documentation that you can say, this is the organization I learned from. They certify I've put in this much time and that I am proficient in these particulars. So you will get a certificate of completion upon finalizing your final project and getting the thumbs up that you've understood your material.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were a couple other questions. Let me take a look and see. How many applicants applied in this group of CTT? Oh, that is a great question. Let me see if I can find that really quick. It wasn't as large as the last group. So for those of you that were reapplying, we had, I think, like 700 applications with the classes that started in May and June. And that is the largest I've ever seen it. It was pretty amazing. For the Cassiopeia group, we had, sorry, I'm waiting for it to load. All applicants for Cassiopeia, we had 251 applicants for this class. A bulk of our applicants don't complete the pre-work, and I don't know if it's because there is issues with pre-work getting out there as far as spam and trash folders, or if it's the majority of people take a look at it and they're like, this is more than I can handle. So it's hard to know for sure what the cause is of that, but we are working towards trying to make sure that everybody gets the pre-work assignment when they apply. And then let's see here, other questions. Would we be able to see videos, pictures, people submitted for their pre-work? Yeah, you are welcome to share what you did as your pre-work with each other. It's a little more time involved for me to be able to check with all of the students and get thumbs up or thumbs down about who's okay with sharing their work. But you're more than welcome to share the link to your pre-work in the discussion channel for your class to be like, hey, here's what I built. So that's perfectly fine to do. And let's see here. I think that covers all the questions that are in there. Sorry, I have another frog in my throat. Too much
I
talking.
know you guys help with like immigrant students as well. That's why this is, a free course. I am undocumented, so I do not like have I'm not. Oh, hold on. I forgot the word for it. I
Yeah,
can't
like
work
a green
legally
card
in
or
the
a
US.
visa or
Yes,
anything. Yeah,
I can't
as a
work legally.
student, it doesn't matter. We don't have any legal folks in place on staff with Code the Dream to assist with it. One of our co-CEOs is a lawyer though, and so he is helpful in terms of getting information along those lines. But as far as actually working with you directly to be able to help with any of that kind of like legalization process or permits or anything like that, he'll direct you to somebody that he's familiar with in the area if he's got an associate that can help you with that portion. There are a number of organizations that help in that department with like low or no cost also too.
Oh, okay. So do you guys provide like jobs for like undocumented, like internships or anything like that?
Yeah, so the apprenticeship, it does not matter what your work visa, documentation status, anything like that is, because it's not an employee-employer relationship for the apprenticeship. It's just like a contract, kind of like a sort of contract for hire kind of a deal. So we are able to have individuals, as long as they're within like US territory and not international, work as apprentices, and you are paid a stipend. I believe currently the apprenticeship stipend is $2,000 a month, which isn't a ton, but it helps. And a lot of our apprentices also have either part-time jobs or full-time jobs that they do outside of their apprenticeship work, that also helps pay the bills, but it at least is some kind of supplementation and compensation for the work that you're putting in. And it doesn't require any kind of like work visas or work authorizations. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Yenny had mentioned in the chat too, Melanie, that you can work as an independent contractor, and that's how you're able to get some work as well. So as you get closer towards the end of classes where you're proficient and able to do that kind of a work, then you can always look at resources for doing independent contract work. Yeah. Any other questions or anything out there? All right, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging in there for the long haul and bearing with me on Wednesday. Have a good one. Thanks everybody.